Okay, so the election was last night, and I just need to talk about it, because damn, what an exciting night. From the second the results started coming in, we knew it wasn't going to be a fun night for National supporters. National absolutely tanked. They didn't stay as low as it seemed that they might at the start of the night, but by the end of the night they had 26.8% of the vote, an abysmal showing for one of the top two parties. This is actually the second worst showing they've ever had post-war. Now that is bad. The real superhero of the night was Labour, absolutely crushing it with 49.1% of the party vote. This is a record-breaking party vote, the highest vote for one party since the implementation of the MMP voting system in New Zealand. Not only did Labour clean up the popular vote, but they swept so many electorates, even electorates that were considered national strongholds. It's not all about the two big parties as well. The ACT and Green Party absolutely cleaned up as well. The ACT Party had their best showing in their party's history, with 8% of the vote and 10 seats in Parliament. David Seymour, the party's leader, seemed ecstatic over the results. Even though we know this ACT outcome is more a reflection of how bad National was performing, with their base abandoning them and looking for an alternative right-wing vote. David Seymour seemed pretty smashed when he was interviewed. He seemed to be having a great night. Greens also had a great night too, with 7.6% of the party vote, far above their expected 6% that many of the polls suggested. They gained 2 seats from what they got in 2017, giving them 10 seats overall just like ACT. But the real surprise of the night, other than Labour's absolute sweep, was the outcome in the Auckland Central Electorate and the Maori electorate of Wairiki. The Greens pulled a rabbit out of the hat, and Chloe Swarbrick took the Auckland Central seat. This is incredible, with the Labour candidate being the favourite. This is the second electorate seat that Greens have ever won, the last time being in 1999. This not only shows the support that the Greens have in Auckland, but it may be a seat for the Greens to fall back on if the party loses support in the next election. I voted for Chloe, one of the only electorate votes that actually fucking matters in this country. The other big upset was the Maori party winning the Maori seat of Wairiki. This is huge for the party, giving the Maori party 1 seat in Parliament, and gives them the opportunity to take part in government and can lead to the party resurging in the future. The party member that won the seat, Wairiri Waiti, will most likely become the co-leader of the Maori Party, as he is the only Maori Party member in Parliament. The male co-leader, John Tamaheri, stated that he expects the vote to dethrone him as leader any day now, and he isn't upset about it. He says it just makes sense. Tamaheri even stated that he'll stay on in the party until the next election, which is a pretty stand-up thing to do. Normally when a leader loses their position, they really jump ship. Tamaheri was actually pretty close in his seat as well, only being 1,000 votes behind the Labour candidate. This could be a possible seat for the Maori Party to win in the future. We will just have to wait and see. A thought came to my mind while I was going over the results, that the Green Party got 2,000 votes in the seat. Maybe a future alliance between the Green Party and the Maori Party could be formed, as they have very similar ideas and ideologies. Something for the Greens to consider maybe. And time to talk about the biggest event in the entire night. New Zealand First did not make it into Parliament. They got 2.7% of the party vote, well below their 2017 numbers, and well below the 5% threshold to make it into Parliament. Winston Peters was adamant that the polls were all bullshit, and he was gonna get into Parliament, but I guess he was the one that was full of shit. And in good old Winston fashion, he made a special announcement on election night, but instead of announcing his retirement on election night like everyone expected, he had this to say.
And as for the next challenge, we'll all have to wait and see.
What an absolute mad lad. Winston Peters is such a meme lord, keeping us all on our toes. I reckon New Zealand First will become irrelevant from now. Without them in Parliament and Winston Peters' imminent retirement, they're pretty dead on the water. What are they gonna do, put Shane Jones as leader? Ridiculous. Let's talk about the last 5.8%, or the wasted votes. The New Conservative Party came in 6th place, with 1.5% of the vote. Not a great showing, but is definitely representing the disenfranchised national voters, but are looking for an alternative right-wing party to vote for. But this party is just irrelevant, they never got anywhere, they've never been in Parliament, so I don't really see a future in these numbers. The Opportunities Party had a bad showing of 7th place, with 1.4% of the vote. They didn't even crack 2% like I guessed. I think what was worse is the fact that they came in 7th place. The coverage all night showed the top 6 polling parties on the screen, and it was just so sad not seeing top there. The fact that they couldn't even beat the New Conservatives is a bit depressing for their future prospects in government. My personal party vote went down the drain with a vote for the Opportunities Party. Ugh. Maori Party hit 1%, but wasn't enough to bring in a second MP with their electorate seat. If I knew that the Maori Party would have been viable in hitting a Maori seat, I might have actually voted for them, and I reckon a lot of other lefties would have done that as well, to help them get a second seat in Parliament. Thankfully, Advance and Vision didn't crack 1%. Those crackpot parties shouldn't be anywhere near Parliament. Advance wasn't actually too far behind the Opportunities Party. Top really didn't have a good night, eh? It's a bit of a shame. These numbers aren't actually final, as special votes still need to be counted. Special votes are anyone who voted overseas, voted outside the electorate, or registered to vote on election day. Special votes also include prisoners voting, who just recently got the right to vote, if their sentence would be over before the next election. I wonder who the prisoners are going to vote for. Are they going to vote for the parties that supported their ability to vote, or are they going to vote for the parties that oppose their rights to vote? I wonder. So special votes are a large amount of votes, but I don't think it will actually change too much, Historically, the Greens have gotten a boost from the special votes, usually Kiwis voting from overseas. So we'll just have to see. Labour has such a strong mandate though. With the current numbers, Labour has 64 seats, an easy majority. Even if they lost a few seats from special votes, they'll still be able to form a government alone. So we'll just have to see. I reckon Labour will bring the Greens into government with them, under confidence and supply, and maybe throw them a couple of cabinet positions as well, or ministerial positions outside of cabinet. I can see James Shaw being the Minister of Climate Change and the Minister of Statistics again, like it has been the last 3 years, but as there's no need to form a coalition, it seems like that's all the Greens are ever going to get out of Labour. There is going to be no negotiating. The Greens have no leverage. All there is asking for scraps from Labour's plate. So the fear-mongering that Judith Collins had right before the election about Labour implementing Green Party policies like their wealth tax was exactly what everyone said. It was bullshit. It was just a way to scare people into voting for National. And I guess that didn't even work anyway, because like 3 people voted for National. But that's basically the election. The referendums don't get counted for a few more weeks, so there are no results for those yet. I'm still guessing euthanasia will win easy, and the cannabis referendum will pass by the skin of its teeth. That one will be quite tight. The voter turnout was up 2.75%, with 82% of eligible voters getting out to the polls. Whenever turnout is high, it means young people are voting, as young people generally have low turnout. I predict that this shows that the referendum is going to pass, because young people want to smoke weed, so they're going to go out and vote in the referendum. I think this is the same reason Chloe Swarbrick won, just a lot of young people turning out. I'm pretty stoked the election is over. I want to make videos on other topics, damn.